So anyhow, this week we're going to continue with the principles, but before we start with that, just want to make sure that everybody knows about the upcoming Health Through Wholeness seminar next Tuesday night, March 10th at Cal State Bakersfield. We're going to be talking about stress success, or getting ready for National Stress Month, which is April. So there's going to be two events, one in March 10th and another one April 21st, with different speakers each night, covering the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual sides of dealing with stress. So put that on your calendar, 6 to 8 p.m., March 10th and April 21st at Cal State Bakersfield. You can go to our web or Facebook page, My Terrio, and see the flyer there. And Cal State has some flyers up and around about that as well. So put those two on your dates. It's been an active, busy week. You guys have probably seen a lot of activity going on around the clinics with some new programs we've launched. But overall, I'm really impressed with how far you guys have come in yours. We got the test results back and have seen that everybody has increased their fitness scores exponentially. So the big thing to remember with that is make sure you know that that's the goal. The goal is to come frequently, or to come consistently, and improve how you feel and overall health, energy levels, and all that. Don't get too hung up in the weight stuff. So this week we're talking about be specific. One size doesn't fit all. We're actually going to cover two of the principles today. And of course, we can't start a presentation without talking about mindfulness. So they have a non-judgmental. Mindfulness is just that non-judgmental awareness is what's happening in the present moment. You're just paying attention. You're getting more aware of being when we click into that automatic pilot zone, and when we're not aware of what we're doing, what's going on, what we're eating, what we're working on, what we're doing. So again, remembering nutrition and eating, but also exercise, activity, and then life in general. So we've talked about the elephant in the room. You'll see this picture. This is one of the pictures I like to use of the person riding the elephant, just to remember that part about that our analytical side, our logical side is the rider, and the elephant is our emotional side. So in order to get the elephant to actually do work, the elephant has to constantly be trained, and trained from an early age. So I think it's a great depiction of us as human beings, that in order to get work done, our analytical side has to work with our emotional side, and it has to be something we want to work on. Last time we talked a little bit about Fitness 101 and the old saying, no pain, no gain, and how that is completely wrong, because pain actually just leads to a stampede. So if our analytical side is trying to control the elephant and we're causing the elephant pain, the elephant is out of there. The elephant's going to take off for greener pastures, and which in the health and in fitness world is, sweets and cookies and comfort foods and comfort drinks. So make sure that we don't cause the elephant to stampede away. And then as we move into these new principles, we're looking at this principle number 2. And principle number 2 is actually specificity. So with specificity, kind of click through that one fast, but specificity is just our bodies adapt very specifically to the stresses placed upon them. So we need to understand that in order to create the right type of program for us. So with that, there's the American College of Sports Medicine, which is one of the premier entities in health and wellness, recommends resistance training. Specifically, adults should train each major muscle group 2 to 3 days a week using a variety of exercise, and equipment. And that's how we built our program, is making sure that we get enough resistance exercise in there. You can get rid of the old idea of weightlifting so much. and get to more of resistance training, using rubber bands, using others, so using our body weight. Anything can be resistance. It doesn't have to be weightlifting. Also, further recommendations from them is that it should be very light or light intensity is the best for older people and for previously sedentary adults who are starting a program. So I popped up the tortoise and the hare picture just to remember that, especially as we're getting back into physical activity after if we've been sedentary or out of activity for a long time. We've got to be the tortoise. We've got to be slow and steady will win the race. We don't want to be the rabbit and go shooting out of the gate in a full sprint only to stop and take a nap because we've broken down or because we've burned up our energy sources. So remember, as we go into this, slow and steady wins the race, which has got to be where our goal for this program. The other thing with specificity and recommendations is that it should be 2 to 4 sets of each exercise will help improve the adult's strength. So there's all kinds of stuff out there about, oh, it's this many sets, this many reps. But in reality, it's anywhere between 2 to 4 sets will help adults build strength and power. Exercise repetition-wise, the repetitions between 8 and 12 will help improve strength and power, where 10 to 15 repetitions improve strength in middle-aged or older persons starting an exercise. So again, we've gone with the recommendations in building our programs that we keep you guys in that 10 to 15 repetition, which is just a good, safe repetition range where you can get cellular adaptation. Once you start getting up to 15 to 20 repetitions, that's more for muscular endurance. So the most important thing is, as we see here, when we're doing our repetitions, we've got to remember back to the safety one. It's not 8 to 12 repetitions done completely wrong, like so beautifully being demonstrated by this guy. Great, you got your 8 to 10 repetitions, but who knows what you're actually working on. You don't want to blow a gasket while you're doing it. So all these recommendations for sets and repetitions are contingent upon the fact that you're doing it with the right technique, with the right form. So we're still in that motor learning phase of needing feedback. So the coaches should be on you constantly about improving your feedback or giving you feedback to improve the technique, because that's vital to learn the proper technique so we don't end up looking like this when we're in the gym exercising. The ACSM also recommends flexibility exercises and some functional movement patterns in your program. So stretching is important, and the recommendations are that you should do flexibility stretches at least one or at least 2 to 3 times a week to improve range of motion. Each stretch should be held for 10 to 30 seconds to the point of tightness or slight discomfort. And then each stretch is repeated 2 to 4 times. Really what we're looking for when we're given stretches is you get that 60 seconds at the end of each stretch, the important part. Flexibility exercises are most effective when the muscle is warm due to the fact that we are vasoelastic, meaning our bodies are mostly made up of water. So once we're warm, once our core temperature is warmed up, our flexibility actually improves. So the stretches should always be held, at least when you're trying to learn them, held at end range for 30 seconds. The interesting thing about the exercise and flexibility is that people always like to do what they're already good at. So we see the people that really like to stretch are the people that are really good at stretching. The people that really like to do strength training are people that have a lot of strength. So a lot of times the really flexible people should be working on strengthening, and the really tight muscular people should be working on stretching. So it's one of those where we do want to work a little bit on our weaknesses and not just building our strengths. So, but it is out there, and again, the program you've been doing all these have been designed into the program, so it's nothing you need to worry about. We just want you guys to understand the science behind the program and why we have you do what we have you do. It's to meet all these requirements. As for this functional training stuff, functional training's really become popular in the last several years. It's got a lot of buzz about it. It's become the big fad of our decade. So it's by definition a multi-joint, multi-plane movement. But the thing that people need to know is that functional training is the most difficult type of exercise to master because it is multiplanar and you use multiple joints in your body. So what's become the in vogue thing is to develop these bizarre multiplanar movements, which are great if you're already in really good shape and you're trying to work your body in a new plane or a new position. But if you're just starting out, you're breaking all the rules of motor learning by trying to make the exercise multi-joint and multiplanar. It makes it too difficult, which makes it you can't learn the proper technique, which then breaks the first rule of safety. So while functional training is recommended, it needs to be the appropriate functional training for the type of exercise or for your current level, not necessarily just because you see somebody being able to do a certain exercise doesn't mean that that's the right exercise for everybody else.